Let's take a look at the compare contract solution in the Callidus platform. Let's think about a use case where this tool would be very useful. Assume that you're in-house counsel and you have a high volume of MSAs, NDAs, maybe SOWs and similar. And for each of those MSAs, you have a ideal gold standard reference document that your firm has created. And then oftentimes you're needing to redline the counterparty's agreement, maybe in the case where it's a big sale or a good opportunity with a large customer. The idea for our tool would be that you'll use your reference document to redline the other document. There's no setup time required, and you'll get good, non-generic, but very specific red lines based on your standard contract. So let's go through and see how that works. You'll start by selecting the deal type. In this case, let's say it's an MSA, and we'll fill out the counterparty and the internal client, your side, and I'll do that now. Okay, I uploaded 2 documents. I explained the parties and their relationship. Next, I'll select the industry to help the AI understand how to focus market terms and other parts of the agreement. Then we can also note unique focus areas and requirements so that you can go through very quickly and kind of implement something like a playbook. In this case, once you've uploaded it one time, you can save it. So we've decided focus areas will be indemnification and entire agreement. And for requirements, we've decided those will be assignment must be explicitly permitted upon change of control of Callidus, and the governing law must be New York. We'll then proceed and hit submit. And then after a minute or two of the AI doing some background processing, we'll be able to get to this page. And first, let's go through the high level overview at the top, and then we'll go through the working level area at the bottom. First, you're able to see the 2 sides and how far apart they are from a neutrality and substance perspective. You get the high level, most important insights into the contracts. And then you get your focus areas. So for instance, you referenced indemnification. And so we're going to call out the most important details about indemnification, and you called out entire agreement. We also put a flag because the working contract does not specify assignment must be explicitly permitted upon change of control of Callidus, although it is fine from a governing law perspective. The right side is able to then show across both sides how many of the terms are very similar across the documents from a substance perspective, and how many are unmatched where one side has a term but the other doesn't, or vice versa. Those might be instances where you notice, you know what, they don't have some of my key provisions, I better pull those in. We're also able to show the neutrality of the 2 sides overall. And then that gives you a good view of here's how far apart we are, here's how much work needs to go into this, here are the most critical items to consider, here's what we might want to talk about high level before we dig into the details to make sure there's some alignment. At the bottom, you're able to see now, here's how I can work through these agreements. We can look through and it will match the provision in one contract with the provision in the other. It's looking at the substance, not the titles of the agreement. And so you see here, if we click on ordering documents, it's pulling up the ordering document relates to change of services and to amendment. And you can see why it's referencing amendments, it's referencing changes of services, and it's pulling out some issues that you might want to consider, both related to our agreement, our gold standard, and some changes you might want to make to align, as well as market, and as well as just generally representing your interests for items you might want to flag. What we give you a notification about how far apart the agreements are, how far they are, and how neutral the 2 sides are. And then we're able to go through and rewrite, explain, look at market, and adjust matches. So in this case, you can make this simpler. You can align it substantively to your agreement. You can make it more robust. You can take into account the issues to consider, align to market, make it mutual, find middle ground with minimal evidence, etc. So let's click take into account the issues to consider, and the Callidus tool will then draft that change. We can also see the ability to explain how this deviates from market. It also says, how does this term fit with the rest of the contract so that we can make changes to provisions affected by this term if we change it. We can also see market. It'll call out the market standard terms along with deviations from market from both sides. This is trained on a mixture of experts model along with a huge repository of private contracts. And so let's say we wanted to go through and accept this red line. Well, first we can see the red line view or the non-red line view. We can see the clean view. Let's say we wanted to make changes. We could put in changes here, but we can accept this part, this change. And now that's going to make the adjustment. In the clean view, you won't see anything but the clean text. But in the redline view, you can click that and you'll notice that it has, for that provision, the actual red lines. And so those show up here and you can make changes as you see fit in either view. You can go through this to very quickly redline the contracts, catch issues you might have missed, and generally being more efficient while also reducing that swivel chair nature that nobody would want to do, as they might not be familiar with the full 50 pages of all provisions in their contract. And you can also export this to Word as a clean view. You can also export it as red lines. You can show the contract insights. You can create a PDF or docx and download there. The goal here is that we're taking what usually is a couple days of work for an MSA to thoroughly redline it and really condensing that down while still adding more value to the job that you're doing and creating a better final output. Hopefully you find it useful. Thanks.